So I've started this third turn of Origins. Probably won't remember what turns I'm on anymore. Let me go over quickly what happened. The blue player didn't clear a hand. Ah yes, he played the blue card. I think he picked this up, drawing from the deck, and got himself socialization, so he can now steal cards from other people. He also expanded in the north to grow his population. He doesn't quite want to settle yet, because that'll start allowing white to grow again. So he wants to get as far as he can before he takes that choice, because he is enslaving them. Green, what did they do? He did not play this. Ah yes, they stole the metallurgy card. I don't remember who had it. Used it, got their own up, and then attacked red over here and took them out. Black also stole the metallurgy card. Their basic choice there was, what did they want to do? Was there anything they wanted more than the metallurgy? And their decision there was no. Unfortunately, they rolled their chaos number, which meant they lost half their population. And now they get population actions. They're going to get 2 of them. I'll do them very quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Puts 1 here. And 1, 2, 3. Puts 1 here on the shelf. Now, they're planning on trying to domesticate the rhinos. Their goal with that is then to start, they'll get the energy that they can start maybe domesticating the oil palm and then expand to the sub-Saharan area. I'll do the others offline. Red kind of learned their lesson. They played, what is this? This guy for the blue free thing, which gave them the clearing the socialization area, which for them is Boca's area. It doesn't really make much difference. And they also got a fecundity decrease, which is kind of cool because it improves their innovation, perhaps. When they took their population increase, this time this is what made them more clever. Instead of moving down to where they were before and kind of trying to spread out over the most area possible, they've moved 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they're outside of the range of green. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 5. So they can't be hurt by green right now. And green will have to suffer a starvation check before they can reach red. So red's now in a safe position, and green is bottled up down here. White, who's still enslaved, drew a card, and they got this one, which is kind of cool. They were able to play it because they have both the dexterity and the socialization. So they managed to clear their Broca's area, and theirs was a language one, or they were able to clear a language area, which has gotten them very, very close to reaching that stage 2. They also got an elder. Now that elder can be stolen from them by the blue player, but the blue player can only have 1 elder. So at least white can create another elder if they need to. They're not doing too badly being enslaved right now. Alright, and it's hard to tell how much ground presence is important, because whatever blue gains off of their domestication, for example, white's going to get along with them. So it's not that big a penalty technologically to be a slave. Now, what are the goals of the game? Well, the goals are gaining some of these and getting these things out on the board. But by the last period of the game. So you may be able to make a big growth with high technology, even coming from slavery. Alright, we'll be going to the next one. Okay, more carefully reading the rules. I see nothing that indicates that slaves are freed if there's no metropolis. I think that's important, because here we are The blue player went, I don't remember what the hell he did. Ah, yes, he played fitted clothing, which cleared one of his language areas, in this case broke his area. Gave him Elder, but he failed and rolled his Chaos roll. Well, normally that would be a slave revolt. It's not going to be the case here, because there's no metropolis, there's no slave pieces to revolt. They remain enslaved. That's the only way that I can see this where the game would work. Some types of little estimates of, geez, maybe they attack something. No, I don't think they do. There's no indication that slave units are placed in this, other than the enslaved units are put into siege against metropolises of the former Slaver Society. Those are slave units already on the board. Slave unit. There was a fact question about slave units being placed on top of other slave units. That's allowable when you do a growth out of a metropolis. As far as I see it, there's no slave revolt. There's none possible. If the slaves are freed, they're not on the board, and that seems a lot more reasonable than any kind of teleport. And here's what would have happened with that. Blue would lose a piece. The slaves would either end up enslaved again or able to attack another piece, which in the case of green or blue would be the last piece, and then they'd have this mutual enslaving, which makes no sense whatsoever. As far as I see it, blue just keeps their slaves. They're not advanced enough to have their slaves revolt or something. I don't know. But that's the only way that I can cut this, and it makes more sense than any other answer as well. So what happens with this chaos that just happened? Well, the same as happened with Black's chaos. The fact that there are slaves doesn't mean much. So let's see. Slaves are at the end of the rolls. Some German rolls. Stability. Okay, depopulation. He loses half his units. His choice. Well, being enslaved. Yeah, what's going to happen if red enslaves blue? Well, I think red will enslave white as well then. Okay, so blue loses this, one of his units. I think he's safe from red there. Can't go through the yellow, can't go through the tundra, can't cross this. So I think he's okay. He enters a dark age. Oh no! That gets turned over and no longer is in effect. It's not era 2 or later. No, that doesn't happen. So sorry. Suppress public cards. Oh, but that does happen. And his player turn ends. He's not able to do an expansion or anything of that nature. Alright. So we get to go forward with the other turns. And nothing too terrible has happened to the game now. Okay, a couple interesting things happened here. Green stole this card off blue and cleared one of their own linguistic areas. But they weren't able to do population expansion because they're not able to reach a safe place to live. And they can't attack red. They could have done, if red was in range, they could have either attacked him or attacked him and done a raid as well, because they had 2 available. They didn't go into chaos. Black went and domesticated giraffes. Hey, I finally did it, right? They went for giraffes because of the plus. They didn't want to get the failure on a 1. 50-50 chance of failure didn't make them happy. So they went for that, but they got the 6 or more disease vector. That increased their footprint, their energy up to draft animals, their disease vector, but they suffered the effects of disease from that, which meant they suffered an elder loss, and they had one, which is a shame. And now they can actually hold 2. And they took the 2 fecundity increases, which filled their innovation track. Actually, I think they only took 1 and it filled it. And then they rolled a die and had chaos, which killed off one of their units. Would have flipped anything here, etc. But they're in kind of a troublesome position because of this. However, they've gotten a jump on everyone else with the domestication now. Now we go on to red, who may be considering similar things since they have animals that they're near as well. They may go for the Auroch and take their own risks there. Alright, let's see. And to finish off the turn, indeed, red went for the Aurochs, and they got lucky, only getting a 5 for it. So now their footprint's higher, and they have the energy value, which will allow them to start cultivating plants maybe, but better than that, they're able to set themselves up. They did a population expansion into here. They can be here because they have a footprint of 2 now, so 2 units on that hex doesn't hurt them, and that puts them in position to maybe get themselves horses. Horses will give them a bonus, another level of footprint, but more importantly, another level of metallurgy, which will make them, again, the war gods on the board at this point. Who else? Well, white took their action to steal that card from blue and clear the last area on their brain, which puts them into the dark age of the second era. That means they can start drawing cards from the second era now, which is perhaps an advantage. Now they have this problem, which is they don't have a footprint and they don't have any pieces on the board. But blue should increase their footprint at some point, and as soon as there's a metropolis, the whites can start populating the board. And that will change the world somewhat. Alright, well, that's the end of this, whatever turn this is, and I think it's a good idea to wrap this one and put it up at this point. I'm glad to have resolved the issues with the slavery, because it really was not clear at all what was going on there. There was definitely a real difficulty in understanding how things could survive if they were on the map, etc. And now I think I have that understanding, and it's beginning to look like the game is not totally flawed anymore.